What's up, everybody? It's Allison,
And I'm Jill.
and this is not Fly as One. This is the Players Corner, where we talk to the USA Olympic hopefuls. Before we get into introducing our player for this week, we want to thank our sponsors, Skills Machine, for sponsoring us. Skills Machine is a fun training device with 18 different skills challenges. You can learn more about it and see videos on skillsmachine.com. We'll have that link down below for you. And you can save $40 for using the code FLY40. Even though the name of this is no longer Fly as One. And if you missed the explanation, it was in last week's episode when we interviewed Hoffman, and the post show decided to delete itself. But yeah.
Rip.
So today's guest is Sophia. Apparently, her legal name is Sophia. Is Phia Gladieux. Phia Gladieux is a forward from Penn State University from Boyertown, Pennsylvania. Phia's been phenomenal in her 4 years at Penn State. She has quite the list of accolades. She has over 150 career points coming from 74 goals and 10 assists. She also has an impressive 206 career goals at Ole Valley. Did I say that right, Jill?
Ole.
Ole Valley High School. She is currently also believed to be the #1 NIL influencer in collegiate field hockey, which is pretty cool, and we do ask her about NIL. And then her list of accomplishments at Penn State. She is a 2023 first-team All-American, a 2023 first-team NFHCA All-Region, a 2023 Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, the 2023 first-team All-Team Big Ten, 2022-2023 Penn State Female Athlete of the Year, 2022 First Team All-American, 2022 NFHCA Region Player of the Year, 2022 Honda Award Finalist, 2021 First Team All-American, 2021 NFH Region Player of the Year, and 2020 Second Team All-American. That's all the ones that I have listed here because that is a lot of accomplishments. We're going to head into the show and welcome Phia.
Today, our lucky guest is Phia Gladieux. She is a former Ole Valley field hockey player. She's currently a member of the Penn State field hockey team, and she is currently training with the US Women's National Team before the Paris Olympics. So welcome, Phia, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Alrighty, so we're going to jump right in because we have a little bit too many questions, but it's fine. So first section is the fan questions. These were asked by players, and we got some alumni and some other fun guests this week. So first we got Maggie, who is a UMich alum, and she asked, what do all your tattoos mean? You can go through all of them or just your favorites, whatever you want.
That's a great question. So I have 3. I have one on my arm. I'm not gonna get up and show, but you can go to my Instagram, you can probably find them. I have one on my arm. I'll show that one. It's just a heart and with an S. Me and my sister got it together. Her name's Sarah. My name's on my birth certificate is Sophia. But we also are like, oh, it can mean sisters, whatever, but they're just matching tattoos. And then here I have one that just says XO. It's also with my sister. We got those ones at the same time because we were, figured might as well get more than just a small one. Which is just like a cute, everyone knows XO. It's just a cute little like phrase. And then on my like lower stomach, I would say area, it's a blue heron, which is a type of bird, and all of the girls in my family have that tattoo on the same spot, same location, same bird, because it means like no matter where you are in the world or whatever you're doing in life, like you're always connected and you're always together. Because our great grandfather would like carve blue herons and like stick, you can stick them in the front yard kind of thing. So we just figured that was like a deep meaning, and yeah, so those are my 3 tattoos.
Nice. So this fan question is from Kevin, your boyfriend, who asked, what is your cheat meal?
My cheat meal, as if he doesn't already know this. I would even say like I have, like, I feel like I really like eat whatever, whenever I want kind of thing. Like, obviously I feel like I eat pretty healthy for the most part. I know what my body needs to like perform. I don't know. I feel like every day. Okay, no. A cheat meal, I guess, would be like Jimmy John's or like a sausage, egg, and cheese on an everything bagel. Like if that would count as my cheat meal, because that's not something I'm gonna eat every single day. But like I treat myself those 2 things, Jimmy John's and an egg sandwich. So that's really funny.
Okay. Kayla, who I don't have a field hockey association for, asked what's your favorite field hockey memory?
What's my favorite field hockey memory?
Yeah.
This is hard. I feel like I've created a lot, especially at Penn State. Okay, I'd probably have to say beating Maryland my junior year at home. Whiteout weekend, which is like for football. You guys all know Penn State whiteout weekend's like a huge football weekend. But Friday night we played Maryland and they were ranked 2 in the country at the time. I think we were like 4th or 5th, and we beat them 5-1 at our home turf, which obviously like Maryland is always a dominant field hockey school. We were doing really well that year as well, and so like just to be able to kind of go out there and dominate over such a top skilled team was truly amazing. And if I could pick a second favorite memory, it would probably beating Iowa that same year. Home turf, same thing, under the lights in overtime. That was a super thrilling victory, and we hadn't beat Iowa in like 7 years or something crazy like that. So it felt really good to be able to finally break that curse.
Nice. Bert asks, what is your favorite part about playing with the USA?
Definitely just like how inspiring all these girls are. Since coming in, they've been so welcoming and have just really created a culture that you want to be a part of. And, I've seen that firsthand. But I just have to say, like, just the inspiration amongst everyone. Like, every single one of these girls works so hard. And they just love what they do, and they show up every day, ready to work hard. And it's really motivational, and it's something I've experienced before, but nothing quite to this level. And it's just really, really cool and refreshing to see everyone who loves the game equally and just, strive for one common goal. Super cool.
All right. And then our last fan question is from Wells, who plays for Pinnacle. And they asked, what's your biggest piece of advice for a young player?
I'd say just like one, I always say this and it's cliche, but just like have fun with whatever it is you're doing and whatever sport it is that you're playing. Because the moment you're not having fun anymore is kind of when things start to go downhill and you kind of lose the love of the game. So just finding that balance, I'd say, in order to have fun, find that balance, whether it's taking a break or finding other things to do, playing other sports, like treating yourself or like taking a vacation, whatever it is. I think it's super important, especially at a young age, to be able to understand that balance. So we don't suffer from burnout, because you see that happen like one too many times with really, really talented athletes who just kind of start to burn out too soon, and they never really get to see what their full potential is. So for younger athletes and younger kids, that's my biggest piece of advice.
So our next section is Penn State / kind of your background. You were a COVID college freshman, and how do you think that having no fall season impacted your transition to college?
It feels so weird to talk about because I feel like it was yesterday and it literally was like over 4 years ago. No, I think it affected it a lot just because COVID hit at such a crucial time and transition for college athletes, because I was a senior in high school. Like, I was kind of starting to mentally prepare to go into college, getting prepared for a fall season. And then COVID just kind of hit and halted everything. And I feel like for everyone, it was hard to like pick up a stick and like go out and play. Like, you didn't really know when the next time you were going to play was. Like, we really there's so many unknowns. And like, for someone like me and most people, having a lot of unknowns causes a lot of anxiety, and it's just really, really stressful. So I think going into Penn State, not knowing, we had to go in during the summer. We didn't know if we had a season yet. And so there was just like a lot of uncertainty, and it was stressful. Like there was a lot of anxiety, and it wasn't just me. It was like everyone we all had to come back to campus, not just freshmen. Like, Penn State required all athletes just to be kind of in that same bubble to avoid, all that stuff. We don't even need to bring it all back up. But yeah, no, it definitely made the transition way harder because we weren't allowed to like see anyone else except for our teammates. So it was like this really small little bubble. And, when you're with the same people over and over again, you kind of start to go a little crazy. So, but not only that, just like the working out standpoint, our season eventually getting canceled, having to play in the spring. Like, we are not a spring sport for a reason. And that proved why. Like, the weather, it was really tough. But I think being able to say that we conquered that and got through that and, faced that adversity, and I think it just, kind of eases me now because I'm able to, accomplish all of that, and I was able to do that successfully, but definitely was a challenging time for sure.
Yeah, I was COVID freshman also, and I think our first game was it might have been in February or March, and I
Yeah.
just remember the turf being frozen at Hofstra, and I was just like, what are we doing here? Like, this is too cold.
Yeah.
We play in August for a reason. What is going on?
Yeah, it was a brutal time for sure.
What made you choose to go to Penn State?
Um, one of the main things was, well, one, my sister went to Penn State, and I'm sure if you've read any article, I talk about her a lot. So she went to Penn State. She's 3 years older than me, so when she was a senior, I was a freshman. But yeah, so every time, I got the opportunity to go visit Penn State because of her, I would, regardless for like field hockey or not. And I was really able to get, a good look at Penn State and what it was all about without, athletics involved. And just truly see the atmosphere for what it was, the environment, the classes, all that stuff. Like I was able to see it from a totally different perspective, which I thought was really, really cool. And I just grew, really close with the coaches, Charlotte Curtis, LB, all the coaches. Yeah, I just really had a great relationship with them. And every time I talked with them, they just cared so much more about field hockey. And to me at that time, especially, was so important because I was kind of, having feelings of burnout in my high school career. So being able to talk with them and my sophomore year and have them tell me, like, ask me about other things in my life was super refreshing. And I knew that they cared more about me than, the field hockey. But yeah, no, every time I went there, it just got to the point where I was like, okay, I really can't even imagine going anywhere else. Like this, it would be weird if I did. Like even to this day, when people are like, oh, where would you have gone? Like if it wasn't for Penn State. And I was like, I honestly don't even know what I'd say. Like, I don't know. Like, I just love Penn State so much besides the field hockey, like, just everything about that school. Like, it just feels like home. And you kind of, people say, like, when you're going through the recruiting process, you just kind of have a feel what's going to feel right. And Penn State just felt like home. So there was really no denying it at that point.
So, Penn State's a Big Ten school, and there's always a little bit of a debate whether or not Big Ten or ACC is better. Do you have an opinion, and what do you think the biggest difference is?
Yeah, so this is really funny because me and my teammate Cassie Sunfast, who I'm sure you guys are very familiar with, were talking about this yesterday, just like our recruiting processes, not yesterday, but a few days ago, and just like the differences between Big Ten and ACC. And when I was going through my recruiting process, I remember, I don't know if you guys know who Mel Brill is, but she was my high school coach. She played at UNC, like national champion, amazing. Um, and we always talked about the differences too, but Big Ten is, I feel like if you ask any player this, Big Ten is definitely more, grittier, aggressive, like style play, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying ACC isn't like that, but when I think of ACC, I think more technically skilled, like, smoother hockey maybe. But Big Ten, I just think a lot like grittier, just like, yes, there are, I'm not saying not everyone, I think I have pretty good technical skills, but like I would say overall that Big Ten play is just like super aggressive, huge rivalries, like not just in field hockey though, like every sport in the Big Ten, just the rivalries are insane. Like, every conference does, but I would just, yeah, I think those are the biggest differences. I don't want to say, I don't want to say one conference is better than the other. Obviously I'm biased. Like I went to Penn State, like I go to Penn State. I have a lot of friends that went to Big Ten schools, but I definitely can confidently say that the Big Ten has been dominating in the last few years. Like for like last year's Final Four, 3 of the 4 teams were in the Big Ten. So, and then this past year it was, UNC, Northwestern. I can't even remember the other 2 schools. Might have been Duke and someone else. I can't remember, but like I just think we've slowly I think it's definitely, we can confidently say ACC and Big Ten are the top 2 for sure, like no doubt. But I think it's back and forth, and I think it's really entertaining to watch every year, even as a player, just like who's going to come out on top. But yeah, no, it's super, super competitive all around, super just good hockey.
We often talk about winning medals is not the goal of playing sports. So can you share an accomplishment on or off the field you achieved at Penn State that was not centered around like winning an award?
That's a really good question. I think I mean, that is really hard because I feel like we always are focused on like the outcomes of things. I would say, I mean, I guess this was like my junior year, we made it to the Final Four and we had not made it since 2007. And although we didn't come out on top, I can confidently say that was like the best year at Penn State we've had, the most fun, the most celebrated all around. Like not just any individual game, whatnot, but just like being able to make it that far, and just pull out, all the, I don't want to say wins because that's technically an accomplishment, but you know what I mean? Like just the overall success of the season itself, even though we were national champions, like it's still being able to go through that and experience out those girls. It just like it, you'll never kind of forget those memories and those experiences. And, playing at that level, it's just so competitive. It's so fun. So yeah, I definitely say that is one of my favorite accomplishments is just, having that successful of a season, but you don't always come out on top and that's totally okay.
In college field hockey, there is quite a bit of international players. How do you think do you think that playing with international athletes has elevated your playing abilities in any way?
100%. I think if you aren't huge into field hockey, to take a look at like the European teams and just watch a clip because they totally play at a different level over there. And the difference is it's their number one sport over in Europe. We all know that. They grew up with a field hockey stick in their hand essentially. But I think it's so amazing being able to have international players on your team. They really do elevate the game, different pace, different structures, different perspectives and styles of play. And it's so different than how it is here in America, but I think it really opens the game up to, so much more. And for example, like the national team coach, he's from Ireland. Our assistant, Javi, he's from Argentina. Like they have such good knowledge of the game because they've been surrounded by it their whole lives. Versus here, like, yeah, I started playing when I was in third grade, but those girls have been playing, since essentially they were like 5, and they've been playing against club teams that are also just such high level athletes. And no, I think there is definitely controversy about how many international players can you have and all the stuff, and like not to get into that stuff because I don't know the logistics of it all, but I think they definitely do help, and I think you have a good balance on a team, then there's no problems. But yeah, that's my opinion. I think they're great, and I've made such good friends on my team that are from different countries. So
You were involved in the Lehigh Valley Health Network Impact Athlete Field Hockey Clinic last year. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
yeah, so I'm not from Lehigh Valley area. I'm more so from like Boyertown, Ole Valley. But the coach, or not the coach, sorry, Joe, who kind of runs the Lehigh Valley Health Network Impact Athlete program, really just wanted to, especially with the NIL, kind of pull athletes from the Lehigh Valley area, and just offer these like free camps and clinics for field hockey players. And when he reached out to me, because my teammate Brie Baracco, who is from Lehigh Valley, kind of started doing this with him, he reached out to me and asked if I'd like to be a part of it. And I totally was all on board, especially because they offered camps and clinics for free to kids. And I thought that was so awesome because I think the biggest thing is just like giving back to like younger generations and giving them the opportunity to, play. And, feel hockey is an expensive sport. It's tough. It's a lot of commitment, a lot of time, a lot of money. And so to be able to kind of put on these clinics and just show up and, spread my knowledge, and allow these kids to show up for free, I just think it was just awesome. And Joe's amazing, and I love working with him, and I continue to keep working with him in the next few months. So yeah, no, it's a great organization, great people. So
You mentioned the magic word a little bit earlier. How do you think that NIL has impacted college athletics?
I think there's a lot of positives. Obviously, with every positive, there's always a negative. I think people that don't abuse it, I think, have really found themselves successful with it and have allowed them to find a lot of connections. I think me personally, I think I've definitely used it in a positive aspect, and I haven't really let it like take over my life, because that can be, easy to do when you're in a high profiled sports such as like basketball or football, but field hockey, obviously we're only getting so much attention. So I think whenever people ask me about NIL, I personally always try to stick to like the field hockey kind of focused NIL deals because, like I said, I like giving back. I like doing things field hockey related. That's my brand. That's, what I post. So people are interested in. But I've also, heard horror stories of, high school kids coming in on visits and sitting down in the office with the coach and like talking about NIL stuff. Well, like this school is gonna offer me, like if I were a coach, I'd be like, all right, close the door on your way out because like that's just not the priority. And I think if any high schoolers listening to this, like know that that is the last thing on your priority. Like that's the last thing on your list. Like your main priority is, committing to that program. And yes, all those things will fall into place and will come. And I totally think it's great. I totally think college athletes should be paid. We are basically, we're not professional athletes, but in a sense, we are entertainment for people. We are providing entertainment through sports and our fame and all that stuff. So I think it's great. But I think, like I said, the priorities need to be checked first. And then, because things can get a little sticky, pretty quickly. So yeah, that's my little piece of advice for anyone listening.
Okay, and then it's kind of going off that, not really going off that, but is NIL have anything to do with the ridiculous amount of sticks you have in your locker, and why do you have so many sticks?
Sort of. So actually Penn State, fortunately enough, we get sticks for free at Penn State, which is super awesome. So we'll like get like an order form and be able to order sticks. So I just kind of have some collected throughout the years. Like I have really old TK models from like freshman, sophomore, and junior year that I just have in there just in case, whatever. But I just, ever since I signed with Longstreth, I basically can get a stick whenever I need it, which is super, super convenient and really, really nice. Super grateful for that because sticks are very expensive and it's not easy to just go to the store and buy another stick whenever you want. So they've been awesome, providing me with everything that I need. They're great, great people. Love them. Been shopping there since I started playing. So it's kind of cool to come full circle and, be a Longstreth sponsor now. But yes, that is why I have so many sticks. So that answers your question.
Yeah, the two of us were when we were writing the questions, I wrote it down and we were joking about it because because you did the packing my field hockey bag video and there was just so many and I was just like, okay, I mean I have a lot of sticks too, but there are just so many in the locker and
I definitely don't need all those there. I just like we have to clean out our locker before summer so they can do like a deep clean. And so like since freshman year, I've just like taken them out, put them in like a storage place and like put them back in. Like I don't really do anything with them. Probably could just take them home and put them with the rest, but I haven't found the time to do that yet, but I will eventually. It's really funny.
So a lot of the players on Penn State roster is made up of Pennsylvania girls. So how do you think that like kind of plays into like how did that play a role in your decision to go to Penn State?
It's actually really funny you bring that up because years and years and years ago, originally Shar wouldn't recruit outside of Pennsylvania and it was just strictly Pennsylvania athletes. And then finally she kind of stretched out and don't quote me, there were some other girls not from Pennsylvania, but like logistically speaking, and then this was a while ago before international players were even allowed. And then she started recruiting more widespread and then internationals were allowed and we finally started recruiting international players. But yeah, you do listen to our lineup and it's all PA, but I think the biggest thing, if you're not a field hockey fan or a field hockey follower, most of the top athletes field hockey wise are from Pennsylvania. Like we are the hotbed in America for field hockey. So it's not really a surprise that a lot of us are from PA. It is funny that we all kind of decided to go there, but for my decision, I was the first to commit in my class. And then all my teammates in my class committed after me, who basically all went to the same club that I did. We all went to Excalibur. Not all of us, but majority. No, I think I wouldn't say that like all of them being majority of them being from PA really swayed my decision any which way. I knew what I wanted. I knew about Penn State itself as a school, as a program. And wherever the girls were from, that's what it was. And I was excited regardless of, who was on the team or not. So
I'm gonna like kind of piggyback off that question. So you brought up about how PA is a hotbed for field hockey. So what do you think makes it such a hotbed? What do you think makes it such a place for most successful athletes to come from?
yeah, I think honestly a lot of it has to do with Pennsylvania just having the top clubs. And again, I don't know how we could dive even deeper into that of why we have the top clubs, but I think I think there's a lot of history behind it. There's just so many athletes I can think of that are from Pennsylvania, and you just go on and on. Katie O'Donnell, like all those greats, Sharmart Curtis, even like she's from Delco. Like there's just so many people, and I think from that though, like Excalibur, WC Eagles, like Spooky Nook, all these like really top, caliber clubs were in Pennsylvania, and they were all like within a small radius of each other. So I think just being like growing up being surrounded by those girls, and just kind of the competition was so high versus competition like Texas. There's only like one or two clubs in Texas. PA, there's like 30 plus clubs. So just like the competition, the amount of tournaments you can go to, the clinics, like all these things, they add up, and you're just exposed at a much younger age at a higher level and more consistently. And I think that just kind of snowballed off of each other from a long, long time ago till now. So luckily though, I have seen the game is growing all across the country, and it's super exciting and refreshing to see that. It's kind of starting to spread out a little bit more outside PA, which is awesome.
One of the videos that always like comes up for you is there's a video of you when you were really young, dribbling on your driveway and playing keep away with your dog and practicing your reverse shot. What kind of that can you credit to your success?
Yeah, I always say how much her name is Casey. She passed away last spring. She was like my childhood best friend. It sounds ridiculous, but I truly think a lot of it had to do with my success, specifically with my stick skills, because I was out there every day from like 12 to like whatever, just working on my stick skills with her, like nonstop, constantly. And I think just like playing against a dog who just had no, like, they don't know when to stop. They're just gonna keep going. If you have a tennis ball or if you have a ball in front of them, they're just gonna keep going. So, I'm sorry. Speaking of dog, one just walked by my legs. Yeah. So I think just being able to try to keep the ball away without her caring and just being so persistent and not stopping really helped me. And I would get so frustrated. So I just make it a goal of mine, just keep the ball away from her. And then, finally it was translating into games, and I was able to keep the ball away from defenders. And so just kind of like being able to see that actually work was really rewarding. And I was like, oh, this is working. I'm going to like keep doing this. So no, I have to give her a lot of credit, honestly.
Okay, so a lot of the girls on the team are on the national team are from Pennsylvania. Is there anyone that you play with, play with on the national team that you really didn't like playing against in high school or club just because they were so good to play against?
That's a really funny question. Probably, well, all the girls I'd have to say were not in high school when I was, except for Ashley Sessa. So I'd probably have to say her, because we always played against each other in club, Excalibur versus WC, which is always like a top rival. But she played at a private high school, so we weren't like in the same league. But definitely Ashley. She was, honestly, that goes for any WC player. Like they're just so competitive and so consistently good and just disciplined, and just really great, smart hockey players. But yeah, definitely Ashley. She's just so talented and so savvy and fun to watch. And yeah, no, she was definitely someone that I never really enjoyed playing against, for obvious reasons, but it's super fun being able to play with her now. And we actually are like really, really good friends and get along great. So it's funny just going from like little rivals to best friends just like that. So super fun.
So you played at Ole, a successful program in Berks County. Can you talk about your experience in there and what it meant to play under Tiffany Capilano?
Yes, I'd love to. I feel like I don't get asked enough about my high school career, and I have to like give so much credit to my high school career and my high school coaches. Yeah, oh my gosh, I don't have enough good things to say about Tiff. She's just, or sorry, I have too many good things to say. She's literally one of the best coaches I've ever had for so many reasons. She um was just so passionate. She is so passionate about the sport of field hockey. You know, she played at Iowa. She had an incredible career at Iowa. She played on the national team for a little bit. But no, she just has so much passion and knowledge for the game. And, you know, she also coached me at Excalibur too. But she was a tough coach. I'm not even gonna lie. She really humbled me into another dimension. I remember one time I was a freshman, and if you guys know me, when I was a freshman, I was a literal baby, like so tiny, so small, like so innocent. But I was still starting varsity, and I will never forget. We pulled it into the huddle, and I guess I was being a bog. I don't even know. And Tiff looks at me in front of the whole team and goes, "This isn't the Phia show," but like so like stern and just scary. Like when she wanted to be scary, she could be. And I just remember like the holding back tears. I remember bawling my eyes out when I got home. And it's like so funny now because like she's just a true testament to like I feel like my humbleness and also my character as a person, and just knowing that no matter where you're at, no matter how successful you are at any stage, like you can always be better. There's always room to be better. And it's very cliche, but it's so true. She really just held me at the same level as everyone else, even though I was getting all these accolades, all this, recognition, awards, all this stuff. She still held me, she expected so much from me. And I knew that. But it was also like I needed to impress her because she was never like fully impressed by me, but in a sense. But like behind closed doors, she was always so, so proud of me and just everything I've achieved. And now it's great because I feel like like one of her best friends I can talk to about anything. And it's just so funny because in high school it was just more so scary. Like I was just scared to like look at her wrong or do anything. No, she wasn't that bad, but she was tough. Like she just really, it's a testament to the success that Oli has. Like she has really continued that program to be so successful. She's created so many D1 players, and she's just amazing. Like she really just is the definition, I want to say, of like a girl boss. Like she's such a girl's girl, all for women empowerment, and just so motivating. And she really prepped me before I went into college about how, you're treated in college, like, kind of get knocked down a few levels. And she's just really helped me, turn into the person I am today. I'm just so grateful for her and I love her so much. But I still talk to her all the time about everything that's going on in my life. And I, go out to eat with her every once in a while when I'm home. And, shout out to her. She just won counties, district, states, undefeated, all while battling breast cancer. And she's just a really awesome woman. So
I saw Ole play a couple times this season, one in the county final, and yeah, they were so good this season. But yeah, definitely a testament to her with everything that she was battling through that.
yeah, for sure. She's awesome. Okay. Also Mel Brill and Kelly Williamson. Mel went to UNC. Kelly went to Delaware. They also have such good knowledge and also help me so much. So I also love them. I just needed to throw that in there.
Alrighty. So the last question for the Penn State section, which was entirely too long on our part. So some of your current Penn State teammates were also former Excalibur players. How do you think that helps your team chemistry?
A lot. I mean, a lot of us were already so close before, going into college. Which I loved, and it made it way more comfortable transitioning into that, new step in life. But definitely, I mean, you're playing with your best friends. Like there's nothing really better than that. But also like there were other girls from all over different places, which I also think is really cool. Like, yes, it was great playing with my best friends, but it's also like really cool being able to meet other people because I've created like best friends that didn't go to Excalibur that are from all over the country, all over the world. And I think that's also just something so great about college athletics is how it can bring people from all over together in one spot. So, no, definitely helped the culture and the chemistry. And it definitely made the transition a lot smoother. No, but it's been great, and I can't believe it's already been 4 years. It's crazy.
So, before receiving the invite to join the team in February, what was your national team involvement?
Yeah, so in the past few years, in high school, I kind of freshman year, sophomore year, I stopped with the under 17 team, just because I was kind of facing burnout. Got into college, freshman year, COVID was we already discussed that. And then my sophomore year, I got invited to a training camp in May that they had. And I was able to go down there and train with the team for a few days and scrimmage and just kind of get a feel for what it was like. Just train with the girls, kind of stay connected. And at the time, David wasn't the coach yet. We were kind of going through like a phase where there wasn't a head coach, there was a temporary head coach, so that was a little tough. And then the following year, junior year, I got invited again to the same type of camp. And this was when David was the coach now. And again, same thing. I came scrimmage, played with them, was able to actually meet David in person, not on Zoom, and just kind of talk about my involvement with USA Field Hockey and the future of what that would look like. And just always kind of having an honest, open discussion about my USA Field Hockey career. And he was super supportive of it, and I was super respectful of him and the girls and everything they were doing. And then summer between junior and sophomore year, I think I went to Nexus. That was before David was announced head coach. So that was super fun in Virginia Beach. If you haven't been there at the training facility, it's super fun, right 5 minutes down the road from the beach. Great tournament, such high level field hockey, great coaching. So was able to go to that. And then junior year rolls around, same thing, went to the camp. And then this past December, I got invited to play in their test matches against New Zealand before the girls headed to India. And so that was a really cool experience, being able to play against, international team in more of a scrimmage style play. So going from NCAA to that was definitely a huge jump, but it was super exciting and, cool to be able to play at that level. And then fast forward to here, and now here I am.
Okay. What was your like kind of initial reaction when you received the invite?
Honestly, just like shocked. Like my jaw kind of dropped. I was like, I remember I received a message from him, and I was like making dinner at my house, and I was with my roommates. I was like, roommates were also my teammates. So I was like, I just said to them, I was like, yeah, like I got invited to, move down to Charlotte, with all potential, whatever. And they were just like, what? I was like, yeah, that's my reaction. So it was pretty shocked for a few days. And it took a while for me to actually decide to come down. Like, I'm sure anyone would be like, yes, 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 like immediately. But it actually took me like 2 weeks to fully make a confident decision of what I wanted to do. And I just kind of weighing all my options. I was supposed to graduate in like, 2 weeks, essentially, get my undergrad degree, move to a whole new city. Like, there's a lot of, things. And also just like the fact that these girls have been grinding it out, like, for the past how many, months. So I do have a perspective of that as well, but they've just been nothing but accepting and, motivating and welcoming in every form, allowing me to be on this team and, welcoming me with open arms and just like, telling me that I deserve to be here. And that just feels, awesome coming from a group of women like that who are as successful as they are. And it's just awesome to be able to watch from the sidelines and now be able to kind of be a part of it. It's really been great.
So how was the process kind of with taking the invite? Because like your semester had already started, you were in the process of student teaching. So what was that all kind of like when, weighing your options about what you should do?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, because that's another thing. I was in the middle of my student teaching. It had already started. That was another thing that stressed me out. I just didn't really know what direction to head in, or who to tell first, kind of thing. Well, I knew it was to tell my coach. So I called my coach, and she already knew because he had reached out to her as well. So she was like, I was waiting for you to call me. So we talked, and she was like, I'm going to talk to Monica, who is our compliance woman at Penn State, who kind of deals with all like the logistics of stuff like this. she was like, I got it, I'll, figured all that stuff out. And then I contacted my student teaching advisor, so more of like my professor, and she told my mentor teacher, and they were all just like, oh my gosh, like you have to go, like da da da. They were absolutely like couldn't have asked for a better reaction from them. My mentor teacher texted me and was like, just want to let you know, like, we're all good over here. Like, you don't need to worry. If this is what you're stressed about, don't. Like, this teaching will always be here when we get back. We will make sure that you finish in the fall, all these things. So they were just, to sum it up, they were everyone was just so supportive and made the transition so much easier. The head of the College of Education at Penn State, who overlooks the whole education program, she was contacted, and they told me that she specifically said, like, go do this, like, this is an opportunity of a lifetime just to be able to do this and train with them. We'll get everything figured out for you here. So I was very well taken care of, and I'm sure not every school has people that they can say that. So I'm really, really grateful, because they made everything so much easier. And I know when I go back in the fall, it's all going to be taken care of, and I'm going to be able to smoothly go back into student teaching like I never left. And it's just, made this opportunity, this decision so much easier for me. So sorry, I'm rambling, but like, I can't thank all of those people enough, because they're probably not getting as much recognition, but they are truly the best for that.
Okay, so we're gonna transition into a little bit more of like what you're up to now. But I feel like this question kind of goes off of the other section. Um, how does housing work for the players, especially since you like joined in the middle of February? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah. So the I don't know exactly like what you would even call it. It's, I guess, like a host family program. So basically Nasia, who is one of our like volunteer management staff members, she kind of, any player coming in, she'll help find a host family for. So she kind of takes care of all that stuff. So in the weeks leading up, she was reaching out to different families through this like program. Probably if I'm assuming, it's probably similar to like a Facebook group type thing, but more of like a field hockey discussion group. And she'll reach out and see what families, are willing to open up their house to an athlete. And, so a majority of the girls on the team live in a host family. Some of them are married and, live with their husbands. Some girls have roommates who are not even on the team or athletes. But majority, I would say, are in host families, and, they've all been great experiences, from what I've heard. And so I'm in a host family, if you didn't pick up on that. And they are amazing. And yeah, they just opened up their house and allowed them to come in. They usually host families have like an extra room, your own bathroom, most likely, your own kind of closet area. Some girls have their own like kitchen areas, which is awesome. Because some girls prefer that. I personally don't care, which is great. But yeah, no, they have two, and mostly the families will have some sort of tie in with field hockey. So their daughters might play, or like they might have played or something like that. So my host family has two daughters, and one of them plays field hockey here at Charlotte Ambush. So they, opened up their house and were generous enough to let me come in as their third daughter. But I'm so grateful for them too, because this wouldn't be possible. And it's just made, everything so much easier, like I said earlier.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What is your favorite activity the team has done outside of field hockey so far?
Ooh. Favorite team activity. We like to, like, a lot of times we go to well, what I've done so far, there's like new rugby like professional team here based in Charlotte, which was really fun to go to. A few of us went a few weeks ago, because it's just kind of starting up, but it was very intense. I have to admit, like, I went to the Charlotte soccer game, that was fun. Like, getting outside is always fun, but like the rugby match was so intense. Like, not to get gross, but some guy just started got hit so hard he just started throwing up the field. It's gruesome. It's gross, but it was like really entertaining because I had no idea. I was watching, I was like, what is going on? But it was really, really fun to watch. But I'd say like just going out to other sporting events is really fun, and just like finally being able to be on the other side of it and not have that pressure. It's like fun to watch. It's fun to like bond with the girls and all that. Oh, One of the nights we had a Taylor Swift movie night. I should probably include that. One of the girls we like made food and like watched the Taylor Swift Eras Tour concert, and so that was fun. But stuff like that. I mean, it's hard to pick, but yeah, no, it's all fun.
So at the end of last year, you posted a video about deciding to reclaim your love for the game on your own terms and rediscovering the joy. When we talked to Hoffman last week, she talked about how this team centers joy in the team culture. Has the culture of this team changed the way you view field hockey in any way?
Yeah. Shout out Haley Stutzman for making that video. That captured everything I kind of wanted to talk about. But yeah, one of our core values on the national team is joy. And David always talks about how joy looks different to everyone. And so that can look and mean something different to the person to your left and right. And I think that's like really kind of refreshing to hear because he's right. Like joy is a core value, but like joy to me isn't going to look the same to joy to someone else. Like joy to me can be showing up and playing 3 hours of scrimmaging. That could be joy. Like I love doing that. Some girls might be like, I'd rather just like work on penalty corners or like, whatever it is. That's just an example. But I think being able to like find joy every day in what you're doing is just super important. And I think on this team, I've noticed before I came in, obviously you have these thoughts of what it's going to be like. And I always thought, oh my gosh, like this is their lives. Like it's all they're doing. It's all they're focusing on. Like every second of the day. And I got here, I'm like, well, that's actually not true. Like we practice like 8 to noon, whatever it is. And then these girls go and like, yeah, I have work. I have this with my husband. I'm like, okay, so these girls actually do have lives outside of field hockey. And it's like, I'm like, oh, this is so relieving. Like, yes, field hockey is their focal point, but they also have so many other factors and things they're doing in their life that help balance that. And I'm like, okay, so like it is okay if I go do this weekend or like, do something not field hockey related. Like it's the normal. It's what you should be doing. It's what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that is like really helped my transition, being here and also just what it'll look like in the future for me. Just knowing that like, and also the staff also treats them in the same sense. Like they know this is their job, essentially, field hockey, but also they know that they have husbands, they have work, they have other priorities that, themselves to care for. And so what everyone's kind of on the same page about that. So, and you've seen the success like that they've had with that type of mindset and attitude. And it's been great. And I think it's really helped me mentally kind of knowing that at the same time. So
What do you think makes the team gel so well during training?
I think the competitiveness between each other, but also the chemistry. I think, it can get really what's the word? It can get very competitive. It can get catty. That's the word I'm looking for. I've seen moments where it can get a little catty and where some girls, are having more of an emotional day than others and things can kind of, boil up a little bit too quickly or too hot. So I think just having other people kind of balance that out and kind of like bring us back. It's like, all right, we're gonna a little bit too aggressive here. Let's like bring it back. Like, let's calm down, take a breath. I think there's enough people on this team that are able to do that and able to recognize when things are getting a little bit too extreme. And I think that helps the, people gel kind of together. And also just like everyone here has pretty tough skin. Like you can say something to someone and it can sound maybe a little offensive, but like at the end of the day, it's not. Like I'm like, okay, like she didn't mean it personally. She doesn't hate me because she said I needed to step left. Like, it's just like constructive criticism. And I think everyone on this team kind of understands that and has that mentality. And so I think that also helps because when you're playing with girls that are getting offended so easily about everything, it can be really hard to gel, during a practice. It's like you can't take my feedback. So how is this gonna work kind of thing. But I think like I noticed there are after every drill, after every scrimmage, there's groups of 2 or 3 girls here and there just kind of having conversations about what just happened and the game, what we could focus on better. And it's just like really cool to see people like have that knowledge and to have that knowledge of the game of what just happened and just be open and have a genuine truthful, honest conversation about it. I think that really overall helps a lot. So yeah.
What do you think the biggest difference between training with the national team and your college team is?
Um, I'd have to say probably just the pace of play. Um, I think in international hockey, it's just so many steps above NCAA in that way. Like, yeah, just the speed of play. We always talk about next play speed, and just how we can. And before I came in, I had a meeting with David about, what to expect kind of thing. And he said the speed of play is going to be something that's going to be higher and the quality is going to be lower. And that's just how it is. And he's like, eventually the quality will slowly reach to the speed because it's really hard to do something super fast and be super good at the same time. Like it takes time. And I've really noticed that because I like to be perfect with everything that I do. And I've noticed it's really hard to do that when you're doing it even faster. But I'm slowly seeing that, okay, the quality is going up, but the speed is also going up. So it's super cool. But definitely the speed of play versus college and just how quickly we do things and effectively we can do them. Yeah, that's the biggest thing for sure.
Is there anything you individually look to improve upon ahead of this upcoming Pro League series and this time with the before the roster for the Olympics is named?
Yeah, something that I have talked about with coaches. I think my on ball work is doing really well. I think I'm playing very smart hockey and I'm playing effective, finding my moments when to attack and when to pass with speed, and most importantly. But my off ball is something that I definitely need to work on. We talked about in the scrimmage, my off ball work ethic just needs to be a little bit more consistent. And that means just like recovering off ball. Like as soon as the play transitions defensively, like I need to bust my butt back and drop. And that's definitely something I've kind of always struggled with. I can admit, like I kind of am a ball watcher in that sense. And all my college coaches and high school coaches can attest to that. So that is definitely something I'm going to be super hard on myself with in the next few weeks, just to recover super hard. And, I can give credit to myself that I have really good back tackle. I'm really good at back tackling and, getting the ball back, whether it's jabbing or just, disrupting the play, but I need to just be way more consistent with it. Because I think that can just overall help me get the ball more, help our team get the ball more, all that. So, definitely recovery and just on the press, just like really knowing where I need to be, the structure of the press, all those things. Cause in international level, we have a lot more presses than in college. So it's definitely a little bit trickier, but definitely just kind of understanding those and being able to apply them in a game.
What are you looking forward to during your 5th year at Penn State?
I think this is so sad to say, but I think I'm looking forward to just all the last firsts. Is that I say that right?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, the last whatever. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The last first day of class, the last, all of those things. Just kind of like not taking it all for granted, and just really soaking everything because I know when I get there, I'm gonna know it's my last semester there and I'm just gonna really soak everything in and it's gonna be really sad. But no, I'm just super excited for all the, the memories I'm gonna make in that season and that semester and just really take it all in one last time.
Any thoughts on Mackenzie Alessi becoming the new head coach at St. Francis?
Yeah, I'm just like super excited for her and playing with her, she has such a, knowledge of the game and she has a really high field hockey IQ. Playing in front of her the last 3 years has really, helped me grow my game and she just really loves the sport and I think for her being able to find a, way to give back to the sport in a different way, not necessarily playing but coaching, it's going to be so good for her and, to build a program up that, could use her knowledge of the game is really going to just, again, help grow the game in every way. And I think it's a perfect place for her. And I'm really, really excited to see her, flourish in that environment. And I wish her nothing but the best, but I'm sure she'll be just fine.
Yeah. As a former NEC kid, I'm really hoping she convinces them to get a water turf. Their field is horrendous. I will just say that. I've been there. That field is horrible.
Hopefully she can talk some charm into that.
Hopefully.
Now we're heading into our most anticipated section of the podcast, the fun questions, even though all questions are fun. All right, starting off, since you are a PA native, Wawa or Sheets, and what is your order?
Wawa, 100%. I get an Italian hoagie with everything on it except for tomatoes, a small mac and cheese, the bag of pickles, and I'll get those hot fries things in the blue bag. If you don't know what that is, look them up. They're really good.
All right. You mentioned Jimmy John's earlier. What's your Jimmy John order?
Also Italian.
All right.
Any hoagie place, I'm getting an Italian hoagie, no tomatoes. Everything else on it though.
Solid.
Nice. Do you have any game day superstitions? And if so, what are they?
Honestly, not really. The only thing I like to stay consistent with is my hairstyle for like a season. So if I have like one hairstyle I start with, I have to like keep it the same way all year. But that's like my only superstition I really have, honestly. Sorry.
I'd like to say we've made it 7 episodes and not had any lucky sock people. So we're
Yes.
doing good. We're on a roll.
Yes.
Ew. No.
I swear if we break it on episode 8, I'm gonna be very upset. All right, what's your favorite Taylor Swift album? And any thoughts on the album releasing on Friday?
This is so hard. Probably 1989, honestly,
Okay.
my favorite album. And I'm so excited. Like I'm not like forgetting, but I'm like reminded. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm literally so excited. I love her. I love her music. I love everything about her. So super pumped.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that it's coming out this week, and then I'll like see a post on Instagram from Taylor Nation. I'm like, oh, that's like this week, not like
It's
next week, like
coming.
this week.
I know.
I love like 1989 like songs from the vault. I could like listen to all those on repeat, like just its own album. Like those are top tier.
100%.
What is your favorite place to eat on Penn State campus?
Ugh. Sorry. Condu, Roots, or Fiddlehead. I can't pick, sorry. Those are my top 3.
All right, and
Or
then
bagel crust. I can't pick. There's so many good ones. Sorry.
no, you're good. I went to a small private school, so we had like 2 places to eat on campus. So could not relate. And then our last question is, what's the best piece of advice you've been given?
Gosh.
Ending really insightful.
That is
Yes.
really deep, guys. I've been given so much advice. I think the biggest thing in the past few months that I've just kind of been reminded of is like kind of it's not one specific phrase, but just kind of like everything will fall into place. Like, or, yeah, I think that was like something that I've always kind of looked back on and just trust. Or like it sounds so dumb, like everything will work out. Like what is meant to be will be. I guess you could group those 3 together because I just kind of always fallen back to those in my whole life. Just, have anxiety and it's just really easy to kind of have your thoughts spiral. And, I've always just keep getting reminded by so many important people in my life that like what is meant to be will be, whatever, like everything will work out the way it's supposed to be. Like everything will fall into place. You just need to keep doing what you're doing, keep working hard, stay true to yourself, and that will be the result. So I think I've been consistent with that and I've seen results, and I think I just need to continue to have that type of mindset. It's very simple, but I think it's a great, positive way to think.
All right. Thank you so much, Phia, for joining us. We're going to head into the post show. Make sure to subscribe to, or not subscribe, to follow all of her socials. We'll have them linked down below. Yep. That's it. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Phia, for joining us. We had so much fun interviewing you. We went a little bit long, but apparently that's our new thing. It's I was saying to Jill earlier, it's kind of funny. We went when we interviewed Sessa for our first episode, we had 8 questions. Today and last week we had 2 pages worth of questions. Our research is getting better. Our questions are getting better. They're getting a little wordier. But I think we're just getting more comfortable, so it's kind of working better, and the conversation's flowing a little bit more freely than it did originally.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're learning how to do professional. This is not podcasting. It's web seriesing. That's not a word or a
Professional web
verb.
series. Professional web series
We're
or
influencers. We influence
influencers.
humans. Don't ever call me an influencer.
No,
Um,
I don't.
no. I
I,
my friends like to joke around because like I have almost 8,000 followers and I literally like refuse to call myself an influencer and my friends are like, you are an influencer. You're the definition of an influencer. And I'm like, nope, not happening. No one even knows what my face looks like, as you see.
yeah.
So we are 100 days out from the Olympics, which is kind of crazy to think about. I don't know
I
if
know.
that feels short or long. Um,
It feels like they just qualified. I feel like we were just like, I feel like our friendship, that's where it took off, the
yeah.
qualifier. And then
We
it's,
we've only been friends for like 3 months, which is
yeah,
ridiculous.
I know for what we've all been doing. But yeah, friends, you can make friends with people you meet on Twitter.
Woo. My entire life is literally based on people I met on Twitter. I'm just saying. My career,
Same.
it's kind of concerning.
That's how I got my freelance gig
Well, that's how I got
was,
my analytics gig.
yeah. So Twitter is a very good networking tool.
Yeah, so we're 100 days out till the Olympics. I mean, there's not much to it. I made a pretty sick graphic. I'm not gonna lie.
That I was gonna
I was
comment
very
on
proud
your
of it.
graphic. That was sick. I'm proud of you for that.
Yeah, don't have any experience in graphic design. Threw that together this morning based off of the soccer post for today. And I was like, "Oh, that's a sick concept. I want to do that." And it worked. Got some nice reposts. I think it had like 400 likes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just shared it on my story.
Nice. I should probably share it on my personal story, but I feel like my personal story, like my friends and my personal story, don't want to see any more about field hockey from me.
They're like, no more feeling.
Actually,
Yeah,
want to
that's true.
something really funny? So, we're gonna get sidetracked with stories today. I'm sorry. We didn't have a
It's
post show
because
last week.
yeah, and we don't have a ton to talk about.
No.
So it's just par for the course.
Yeah, so last weekend I was at my I guess they're my niece and nephew. They're my cousin's kids. I was at their third birthday party. And
Mhm.
I walked in and my cousin was introducing me to one of her friends who she was in her wedding party. So I think they went to high school together, maybe. I don't really know. Whatever.
Something.
And my cousin turned around and she goes, Allison just interviewed the captain of the US field hockey team.
Aw.
And I know this girl probably has never heard of field hockey in her life. Because like the school district they went to doesn't have field hockey. Actually they went to private school, but still they definitely did not have field hockey. No one in my family's ever heard of field hockey before me. They all still call it lacrosse, and they think that my cousin plays field hockey, even though he plays lacrosse. It's hilarious. Um,
Interesting.
but yeah, it was really funny because like they were just like she's like interviewing me, and I'm like, yeah,
Aw.
at least you guys care because honestly, like some of my other friends are like probably like get this off my story. Like
Yeah,
I do not play field hockey. I don't
I
care.
have no idea who you're talking about. So like please stop sharing. I feel like that's some of my fault. Like my friends, like they're like, okay, like and
Literally, like I mean, most of my friends and like most of the people who follow me are somehow related to field hockey, or they've heard me talk about it enough. But yeah, like I feel like even my brother's like, Allison, no one knows who Ashley Hoffman is, and I'm like,
but
yes,
I
they
do.
do. But
I
like I've watched her since I was a little kid. Like obviously,
I know. I was
I know who
like
that is.
I was like saying to my dad too. I was like, because like early college was like early college I really got into college field hockey because like I wasn't playing anymore and I like needed something because I like missed field hockey. So I like really like latched on and I was like 18-year-old Jill is like freaking out inside because if you would have told her then that later she would be interviewing Ashley Hoffman who like I looked up to I was like, are you for real?
Literally, like what's it called? So when I played is a loose word for my experience in high school. But when I was in high school field hockey, I like didn't really start understanding that like I knew college field hockey existed, but I didn't really know much I didn't even really understand college sports because I had come from cheerleading, and cheerleading is not an NCAA affiliated sport. So like I wanted to be a Rutgers cheerleader. That was like my goal in life.
Yeah.
It is so concerning, but it was because my coach was a Rutgers cheerleader. Uh,
Yeah.
but I understood how college sports worked from the realm of cheerleading. I didn't really understand it from outside of cheerleading.
Gotcha.
So my first exposure to college field hockey was watching like Princeton field hockey, but was watching UNC. Like I think it was probably 2017 or 2018 NCAA tournament. Like watching UNC was my first exposure, like in the NCAA tournament was my first exposure to what college field hockey was, and it kind of like was what made me fall in love with it. And like we talked about in this episode about how like, we were COVID freshmen, and like ACC was the only conference that had field hockey that season. And
That's right. Yep.
I would literally like my poor psych teacher. I literally would sit in her class with like my notes up like in a Google Doc, and I would have an ACC field hockey game on my computer during class. And like even my stats teacher, Andrew, love him. His daughter plays field hockey too. Um, I owe that man everything. I would watch field hockey in his classroom all the time during class.
Actually, in like 2017, I was in like creative writing, and it was during like the ACC tournament. So like teams were playing like earlier in the day. Yeah, no shame was hardcore watching ACC, UNC and Wake Forest during creative writing during my
Yeah,
sophomore year of college.
but yeah, so like I wouldn't say I grew up watching these players because like I grew up watching cheerleading. If you know, if anyone has ever watched the Netflix show about Navarro cheerleading and heard about Gabby Butler, Gabby Butler was my Ashley Hoffman when I was a kid. Like she was everything to me.
Mhm.
That's who I wanted to be. I wanted to be on her team. But then when I got a little bit older and got into field hockey, like Ashley Hoffman, like and oh, what's her name? Juliet
Oh, Tornetta.
yeah, Turnetta. Though like those two players were like the world to me. They were like my idol. So like doing this is like, oh my God, it's so much, it's so cool. And I'm such a nerd. Like I'm truly a nerd. So like doing this kind of stuff just like it makes my inner child very happy, but also my little nerd, like my little nerd brain, I'm like, "Ooh, I know this fun fact about her, and I know this fun fact, and I can ask her about this because it's a fun fact." And yeah. Um yeah,
No, that's
living the
actually
dream.
so no, wait, actually, because so I grew up in PA, so I played PA field hockey. I played in the Lancaster Lebanon League. So some of these like it was only about my junior year that I want to say like I didn't realize, even though like I was familiar with college sports because like a big sports household, so but I didn't realize until like my sophomore or junior year that like oh like you said like college field hockey was a thing. So I knew that like other girls were like going like commitments to big schools, and I didn't realize that was like a thing. Like I had gone to like see like LVC, Lebanon Valley College is not too far from me, and me and my dad went to a couple games. I think I mentioned before in a pod that he works at he's familiar with Kutztown, so he would talk about Kutztown field hockey, but I never knew like the bigger picture kind of thing. Um, and I would like kind of follow them. So Ashley Hoffman was actually like a year ahead of me, and she played at Twin Valley. We never played Twin Valley, but I like did know of her and stuff. So it's just like so cool. Like it's like, oh, I know like not to be weird, but like, oh, I know where you went to high school. Like I know about your high school field hockey program. Like I know like some of these teams like we play against like for coaching, like and stuff like that, or I see like out covering, and it's just like it's so cool.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just cool. So moving on a little bit. What's it called? A couple of Olympic team players are in my area of the world. They're in New
Ooh,
York. I don't live in New York, but I do live like 40 minutes from New York City.
close
Um,
enough.
nice little commute. So they were in New York City for media day for all of the Olympic teams. So like the gymnastics team, judo, like every single Olympic team was there. I think Rose Lavelle from soccer was there. I don't know if I have Rose Lavelle on my wall. I don't. Wow, that's surprising. So Kelsey Bing and Abby Tamer represented USA Field Hockey. Videos I've seen are pretty good. Some very interesting interviews with Bing and talking about acrylic ducks.
Yes, that was didn't expect that one.
That one was a little weird, and also talking about Bing's like actual job that like we all forget she has, that she's like actually really really smart because she went to Stanford. Um, so yeah, that was pretty cool. Excited to see some media coming out of that. Um, I will say the one thing is a lot of like uniforms for the other teams were revealed,
Mhm.
and I think we're competing in our stupid Bank of America uniforms. Or maybe just the ones that say straight USA. I don't know if we're like confirmed in the USA, the Bank of America uniforms. I'm gonna have to ask whoever we have on next week if they know.
Yeah.
Because listen, if we were in the Olympics with the stupid Bank of America uniforms. So staying on the topic of international teams, the US men's indoor team just posted that they're hiring a new head coach. The position is volunteer. It's open to remote, and the minimum qualifications are like non-existent.
Huh?
So the qualifications to be the head coach of the men's indoor team is previous playing or coaching experience at the elite level, which
Okay.
they say they prefer national or international.
Mhm.
In-depth knowledge of modern hockey rules, tactics, and strategies,
Okay.
strong leadership skills,
Okay.
communication and interpersonal abilities,
Mhm.
ability to develop and implement effective training programs,
Mhm.
experience in video analysis using technology, and
Mhm.
flexibility to travel and work irregular hours. Those qualifications, like the minimum qualifications, seem bare minimum.
Mhm.
So to me, that usually indicates that they might already have someone in mind.
Yeah,
Like
that
they're just
doesn't, it just
posting it
seems,
as a formality, which
it
I'm
also just
hoping is
seems
what they're
kind of
doing.
vague. I mean, I know always like like you're not like super specific, but I also felt like it was kind of
Like I've seen assistant coaching positions that have more detailed job
right.
descriptions.
Yeah, like
So
especially,
yeah,
yeah.
I
Hmm.
just thought that was like interesting. So if
Yeah.
anyone wants to be, the head coach of the men's US indoor team, it is a volunteer position, which kind of stinks.
Oh, yeah,
However,
that does.
the application is available in Teamwork Alliance online, so go fill that out. Be be a USA coach, go team. St. Joe's announced that 6 of their seniors will be returning for a fifth year. I'm not going to read the list, but a lot of these players, like notably Lily Santee and I'm gonna butcher her name,
Yeah,
Manu Gil Gilado. I'm
sure.
sorry. I'm
We're
sorry.
sorry. We're
So
sorry.
sorry. They're both extremely good players. I think St. Joe's had a really good group of seniors this past year, so I'm really excited to see them coming back. I think it's gonna be really good for this team.
Yeah, I think they're a team that like the past couple of years they've really made some strides and we're just kind of waiting for them to like get over this kind of hump, I guess, to like really be a contender in the NCAAs. Like they all like they've made it for the past few years and they like make it through, but like to kind of like knock somebody off in the NCAA, I think would be a big step for their program. And I think this will help. Former Northwestern field hockey players Lindsey Frank and Aaliyah Marshall are both members of the Northwestern lacrosse team who are ranked #1 in the Inside Lacrosse Media poll. They defeated #2 Maryland 17-9 on April 6th, and I believe this week, either this week or next week, is the last week of the regular season for women's lacrosse already before
Wow, that's
conference.
quick.
I know, right? I was like, wow, already? Before conference tournaments start. Frank currently ranks 5th on the team with 19 goals and 6 assists. Frank was a transfer into Northwestern for this year, but she was a dual athlete at Richmond for 4 years. And then Aaliyah Marshall, she has been at Northwestern for 5, but she was actually a Delaware Player of the Year for lacrosse, which I was surprised, not surprised, but she's a really good athlete. So not
Yeah.
surprised. I was like, dang. And then Northwestern lacrosse won the national championship in 2023. So they are looking for the two-peat.
Alrighty, so what's your game of the week this week, Jill?
So my game of the week is one of the best rivalries in college sports, and specifically field hockey, is Duke UNC. No matter what time of the year, it's always a good matchup, and I think especially with the strides that Duke took last year and coming back onto the scene and being a real competitor, and UNC always doing what it does. It's never a bad time to play against your rival.
My game of the week is my alma mater.
Ooh.
Sacred Heart is playing Fairfield and Dartmouth. I think this is taking place at Fairfield. Don't quote me on that. Shoe versus Fairfield is a great rivalry. We live in the same town. They're both Fairfield, although Sacred Heart's kind of in Bridgeport, depending on where you are. But good Fairfield matchup. Sacred Heart and Fairfield both were in the NEC tournament this past season, with Sacred Heart winning. Fairfield, I want to say, won in 2022. Fairfield tends to be
That sounds right.
Fairfield tends to be the most competitive team in the conference, so I'm excited to see these two match up. And then Dartmouth is also going to be there. Love Mark, the head coach of Dartmouth. I just love him. He's a gem. But also Sacred Heart and Dartmouth went into shootouts this past fall with Dartmouth winning. But excited to see those teams, two teams play against each other again. And Fairfield Dartmouth also, it probably exists because it's a play day. But yeah, so that does it for us. A little bit of a ranty post show, but also just kind of a quick one because the interview with Phia took 2 Zooms, and this is taking an entire Zoom.
Because we talk too much.
So I believe our guest for next week is going to be Amanda Galini. We will have her the post up on Instagram to ask her questions. If it's not, then this part's gonna get cut out. That does it for us. Make sure to follow Phia on Instagram. Make sure to follow the Field Hockey Analyst on Instagram. Like and subscribe. Do all the things you gotta do, and we will see you next week. Bye.
See ya.